Welcome back. Our next project is an isolation transformer and variac. The two that I pulled out of the warehouse are a little bit old and beat up, but they look pretty good. This transformer has no markings and has a triple output. The first thing we need to do is check to see if our input coils are okay and that our output coils are okay. I need to know if each one of the sockets are connected to the output transformer, and I need to know if they're separate windings or if they're all the same. It looks like on this model that they're all the same. Now, is the case hooked to neutral or hot, and are the output sockets connected to neutral or hot? Now I need to check AC line voltage and compare it to the output of the isolation transformer. Looks like I'm measuring about 119 volts AC. Measuring the output, I have about 109 volts, about a 90% efficient rate. Let's give this a quick cleaning. I notice that there's some oil and dust on it, so I'm using purple cleaner. I'll scrub it, dry it off, and put it back into service. This is a Standard Electric Model 500 7-amp variac. It was a great unit, but I happen to remember that I ordered out a B&K 1653 from eBay. Although the unit was in fine shape when I bought it, shipping destroyed it. So let's take a look at it. When I received the box looked like it had been through a war zone. And I heard glass rattling around inside. I took a look, opened it up, took a look, and noticed that the bezel on the meter movement had been broken. Both of the front sides were damaged, and the faceplate had been bent in. Looking a little closer, the back side was also bent, and the chrome on the voltage adjust was missing. Now I need to look on the inside and take a look to see what else is broken. I found this little Skill screwdriver in my tool bag. Thought it'd be a nice addition to the tool bench. Removing 3 screws on each one of the sides and 3 screws in the back, we can now open it up. You can see that both the back and the front need to be straightened out. Let's check the power cord through the fuse and see if we have continuity. A quick check on the rheostat, and we can see whether or not it's open or it shows resistance, and it looks good also. I did check the primary and secondary of the transformer, but unfortunately I didn't turn the camera on. Checking the power switch shows an open in the off position and a short in the on position. It also looks good. Measuring the internal fuse, it looks like it's wide open. When I look at it closer with the magnifying glass, I can see that the fuse link is open. I need to remove the fuse. As I am unsoldering both legs, it dawns on me why, for a few pennies more, they couldn't have added a fuse holder in here. It would have been much more convenient. With the fuse out, I noticed a sticker on the bottom of the case that said 3 amp slow blow, so let's go find one. I couldn't find a chassis-mounted fuse block, so instead I will use this inline fuse holder. With both ends tinned, let's solder this into place. With the fuse replaced, let's plug it in and give her a try. With the meter set to AC volts, let's see what the output is on the minimum and the maximum setting. Power on. It looks like we're going from 1 to 160 volts AC. Looking at the back panel, I should be able to straighten this out with a block of wood and a rubber mallet. Let's give it a try. That looks good. In order to straighten out the front plate, it required me to remove everything that was affixed to it. The rheostat, the switch, the lamp. Speaking of the lamp, the star washer that was attached to it holding it in was a real bear getting out. The fingers had embedded themselves in the plastic, but with a little bit of persuasion, I was able to finally get it to move and to dislodge from the plastic. The meter had 4 lugs, but only 2 nuts were affixed to it. I decided to go ahead and mark the polarity of the wires going to the meter, remove their nuts, and then the nuts holding the meter in. The meter board had 2 standoffs and 2 nuts. The last item is the female AC outlet. Marking each one of the wires to what lug they went to, and then desoldering them, I was able to get it free enough to remove the clamps that were holding the socket onto the case. Again, with a block of wood and a rubber mallet and a little bit of persuasion, I was able to get the chassis fairly straight. I noticed that the front label had come unglued from the chassis, so I thought I'd use a little hot glue and affix it back again. It's time to remove the indelible markings. A little bit of denatured alcohol and a scrub brush seems to do the trick. Over here underneath the meter, it looks like that has been scarred, but the meter will cover it up. Now we need to reassemble everything. Putting the AC jack back in, soldering the wires to the appropriate lugs, putting the rheostat back on, and affixing it with a lock nut and washer, then the neon bulb. Inspecting the meter case, it looks fine with the exception of the crack in the small corner. With cardstock, I cut out the appropriate size for the bezel and laid it on some clear plastic. Using an X-Acto knife and straight edge, I went ahead and scored it and then cut through. After test fitting the piece of plastic to the bezel, I cleaned my hands with some denatured alcohol and removed the plastic film. It's then that I noticed that there was a burr on the side of the plastic that needed to be removed so that I could glue the bezel together. I glued the bezel with super glue and let it sit for several hours. Cleaned the meter face and then reassembled the two pieces. Now the meter back in and the two nuts associated with it. Lock those down. The meter board with its two nuts. And finally the wires to the meter itself. Looking at the meter and bezel, it looks fine. You could hardly notice that it was cracked or that the glass had been replaced with plastic. Now on to the case. With that straightened out, let's clean it up. With some marking pens, I found that using lighter fluid and a little bit of denatured alcohol removes the markings fairly easily. A good scrub on the rest of the case, and we're ready to put that back together. A final check on the meter, and it shows that it's working just fine. I did adjust the zero adjust on the meter and the voltage and amperage settings on the pots. And there we have a working variac and isolation transformer for the bench. If you found this video useful or entertaining, give me a thumbs up and don't forget to click on the bell icon to be notified of upcoming videos. Stay safe, stay healthy, and thanks for watching.